Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Pill Nation Hangout. I wanted to wish those of you who are listening to this, I hope you had a very happy holiday. We are doing this show on December the 24th. Now, if you were listening to 346, you may have noticed that when I get into the topics that we're not going to be doing the year in review. That's going to be a special episode that me and Mearson are going to have to set up for later on this week, because a lot of stuff happened this week, like too much for me to do it and then to do a review. And there is a very extensive, we're not going to be revealing anything because I broke it down into topics, right? But there's plenty of stuff to review from 2023. But I am your brave and some not totally under the weather host tonight in Naroki5, and with me, as per usual, is my partner in crime, Rearson. Nobody else could join us tonight, probably because it's literally the night before Christmas. So, Rearson, introduce yourself.
Right. I'm the co-pilot of this. I don't know what the fuck to call it anymore. Except that it's fun. And I assure you there will be no advertisements for ball gags or us. Although if I suppose if you really want to make a sponsor for that one, I'll let your twisted mind enjoy it, because
dark cherry flavored ball gags. Yummy for the BDSM enthusiast in your life. Yes, sir. Dark cherry flavored BDSM ball gags.
And if you throw in, and if you add the code of, we'll throw in a purple dildo applicator as well to it, no extra charge.
Yes, the JM purple pip, the JM purple poker. That's right, the JM purple poker for that ever so Giga Chad alpha male man, formerly known as JD, who actually turned out to be a massive hypocritical cuck. And speaking of massive hypocritical cucks,
you're taking the words out of my mouth. I was just going to off to topic number 0, and that would be
Destiny getting karma knocking on the door. Oh my God. Yeah, no, I found out about this one this morning, so I had to add it in. Topic number 1, 179 Epstein client list to be revealed. Topic number 2, Trudeau announces all cars to be electric by 2035. Topic number 3, Donald Trump removed off presidential ballot in Colorado. 4, woke University, Washington, the place you'll soon be living. Fools at the pressure brought on by Riley Gaines. That one is interesting. Topic number 5, O'Keefe Media Group reveals DEI 10 commandments based on race inside IBM subsidiary Red Hat. And topic number 6, for the ball gag enthusiasts out there, Democrat caught making gay adult video on Senate floor. Oh yeah, what can I possibly say? For those of you who don't know, I am at Patreon as in Naroki5. I'm Subscribe Star as the Red Pill Nation. I am at Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, MGTOW TV. I'm also at YouTube, but I mean, when it comes to YouTube, I only use YouTube because it makes it easier to upload a lot of other places. I'm also somehow I'm still at Facebook, Mine's MeWe, Gab, Getter, TLB Talks, and that's about it for now. So to get into the first topic here, topic number 0.
There's probably some guy out there that would be a better match for her than me.
Oof. That didn't age well.
Do you guys have a high degree of confidence that your marriage will last for decades?
I mean, I married her without a prenup, so I hope so. Yeah, so basically, Melina reaches out to me. We have a call, and she basically tells me that I owe her for money for her apartment, and that if I want to do what's moral, because I made her leave the United States and pay to fly all of her shit back, that I should pay her like $100,000.
I saw this early in the morning, and I was seeing stuff like this very early on, and I took one look at this, and I'm going, oh, yeah, there we go. And I talked to Rearson about this, and another video got released where Destiny is pretty much confirming everything. Well, all of the stuff that Destiny, when he was confronted with this, was very snarky and dismissive about, all of that stuff is starting to happen to him. Melina is trying to glean as much money as she can out of Destiny, probably because Melina damn well knows that her career is pretty much dead once she divorces Destiny. Destiny also received multiple calls from multiple friends of his stating that Melina had called, but didn't call Destiny, but called all of them and revealed quote-unquote dirty secrets about what had been going on in their relationship. Basically, this was an attempt by Melina to undermine Destiny's support group and to undermine his credibility inside his own support group. Now, me personally, I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I am of two minds when it comes to Destiny. One, this is not the only, his attitude towards the manosphere was insulting. His debating technique was very dishonest. When he wasn't being a dishonest, snarky little fucking prick on Manosphere podcast, he was going on other podcasts and acting like he had won. But here's the thing about Destiny, though. It wasn't just the Manosphere. Going back through his Twitter feed, he has been consistently on the wrong side for literally everything. The vaccines, the stuff with Donald Trump, like you name it, he's been on the wrong side of it. And it's been consistently for years. So, I mean, he's like Ethan Klein. He has basically spent, actually, he's not as bad as Ethan Klein, because at least at no point did Destiny flip or pretend to be something that he was like, say, Hunter Avalon was, for instance. Bottom line here is those that, specifically when it comes to the Manosphere, he was told multiple times that this was gonna, he's in an open relationship and this was going to happen to him. He was always snarky. He was always dismissive. He always tried to deflect away from it. On the whatever podcast, he literally, this is when I knew there was trouble. When he openly admitted that there was no prenuptial between him and Melina. So if they got married in a state with lifetime alimony, which is legitimately a possibility here, Destiny could be on the hook with Melina for decades. I haven't downloaded it yet, and I might get around to doing it tonight. Actually, I won't be getting around to doing it tonight, because as soon as this show's done, I'm going to bed. Right after we talk about where they want to set up for 348. Um, I don't want to say I told you so with Destiny, but it's like at the same time, there's a shit ton of guys in the manosphere right now who are pulling out a lawn chair, warming up some popcorn, and just gloating, like openly. And here's the thing, right? Destiny can cry and bitch and moan about how these people are being mean and not. Yeah, I haven't heard him do it so far, but I can virtually tell you it's probably gonna come. Well, the guys in the manosphere are being assholes. And it's sort of like, well, Destiny, you were kind of an asshole to the manosphere. What the fuck were you expecting? Um, However, over the past 48 hours or so, and specifically today, if Destiny somehow, and I very much doubt he will, but if Destiny were to somehow find the humility to ask the Manosphere for help and support in dealing with what Molina is attempting to do to him, I would render it in a second. But he has to ask. I'm not going to volunteer it for him. I think that Destiny has to learn the fucking hard way what happens when you play with fire, when you engage in a degenerate lifestyle. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I have been with some women that were into polyamory, and I really honestly didn't give a shit if they were into it or not. There was no cucking involved. I'd never consented to anything like that. But you know, um, I at no point, if I was in that type of a relationship, and I never will be, I would not be touting that relationship as the be all end all and pretending that it was fucking superior. And at the same time, pretending that he is, and then getting smug and superior and pretending as though he is somehow superior to guys in the manosphere. So yeah, Destiny, to quote Joker, I hate to say I told you so, but we told you so. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rearson.
Tonight, I'll be thankful, and I'm hoping that no one else jumps in just for your sake. How can I say this? In a way, I get how he's been because you know me well enough. 25 years ago, I was an arrogant, intelligent male thinking that he knew better. As I've gotten older and become more wiser with experience, I'm toning that down. Now, I still know that I'm smarter than the average bear. And I've better to come in late with the red pill than not to come in at all. And I've flipped a lot in terms of viewpoints and the like. I mean, I used to be very liberal. I had rather strong socialist leanings. Not the case anymore. I was going to Dollarama a couple of days ago, and it was just going through my head again that government, for example, has to stop trying to fix problems and allocate cash to charities or organizations to do the work for them, because they'll do it in a better manner than they can't, ever. My apologies for the noise in the background. I'm just boiling up some water. Anyway, so with this guy, he set himself up for his own fall. And I don't think that can be said politely, except as how I've just said it. Excuse me, I'm going to turn that off. he set himself up for the fall. Where does he live? In California?
I think so, yeah.
And well, pardon me for running on stereotypes, but that kind of explains a few things about his attitude as well. He's apparently afflicted with something to the effect of ADD, somewhere within the autistic spectrum. I don't know where, I don't know what, but that's the allegation. And that's fine. But I mean, from what I've seen of him and how he talks and how he, quote, debates, he's better at masturbating. But, you know, he knows how to pick a loser of a woman. And I don't think I can say that really any other way. She jumped ship from the guy that she had in Sweden for him, and now she's jumping ship probably because she's got her citizenship or something like that in America. So she doesn't need him anymore, which will be an interesting revelation as to when she got that. How he's going to come out from all of this, I don't know. After all of this, if we never talk about him again, I'll be a happy camper. And as you've said, my friend, is that this is a journey that every man has to go through, and they're going to go through in their own way. And we've talked about this before with Crowder, where he was dismissive of the red pill until it happened to him with his wife. And now we're seeing someone on the left publicly having to go through this pain. I'm not a supporter of his stuff. I've never watched him up until we had brought him up as a topic. Or it was earlier this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I never heard of the asshole. So, for me, at the end of the day, this really is pretty much a non-issue. I'll let other people, other men, not to say that I didn't enjoy the whole idea and I had my popcorn ready to go, but honestly, I don't give a fuck. I have got other things in my life that are much more important to worry about. And what he's going to have to do to fix himself, well, that's something he has to figure out, not me, not you. And I got nothing more to say.
Okay, yeah. Apparently, Melina Goranson had an OnlyFans. I'm actually trying to find it right now. The only thing is that when I look, I keep getting wait, no, there we go. It's been. Hold on a second. Let's see if it's this one. Well, honestly, I really don't care. You know, and would it be a surprise if Melina Goranson did do something like that? I mean, you know, like the responses that I saw when Melina Goranson did her appearance on Fresh and Fit kind of told me a lot about what she was like as a person. Hold on a second.
Dropping it back.
Sorry, my ears were getting really, really itchy for whatever reason. You know, does she have an OnlyFans? Maybe. I really honestly don't care. I mean, what I'm seeing with Melina, though, is an attempt on her part to cash out via the relationship with Destiny, because she's not, other than her looks, she's in no way intellectually engaging. She's not particularly charismatic. She's not stupid, but she's not smart either.
She's cunning, which might be about the most that we can say, but that's only when a woman gets ticked off with her mates. in this kind of situation and is looking for everything to. Well,
But
sorry,
yeah.
if she's not smart enough to do that, she's got friends that are telling her what to do and how to stab him in the back or stab him. Period.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna say about her looks is I'd put her at a 6. She's cute-ish, but that's really about it.
I don't know. I would give her a 7 myself.
But then again, she ain't Asian. I'm not really looking. Anyway, enough of my preferences.
Anyway, I would give her a 7, but I mean, it's like, I want to feel sorry for Destiny, but unless he's willing to exercise some humility, and I don't, maybe he will, because like, I mean, on the video that I saw, I am going to be posting it up. In fact, if you're listening to the show, you're probably already seen it. Destiny appears to be in a situation where he's said on the air he's definitely going to be thinking he's going to be taking a while before he gets into another relationship, which is more than we could say for Hunter Avalon. So that works in his favor. Anyway, you know what? I'm pretty much done on this one. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
Oh, this one is interesting. This one is very interesting. And it was the first topic. It was topic number 1. But with what happened with Destiny, and I found out today, it got pushed down 1. A judge has ruled that 170 names off the Epstein clients list are to be revealed on January 1st. Now, a lot of these names are people that have already basically come out and said that, yes, they have already been at Epstein Island. So this might just be a huge nothing burger. There's the fact that they're going to such extreme lengths, though, to not put out this list, or they're going to put it a redacted list or a reduced list or whatever, tells me that there are some very important people on there that you probably don't want to know about. Like, I saw a story on YouTube the other day about one of the apparently the only one of the inner security circle at the island. Now, he wasn't a pedophile, but he freely admitted that he had substance abuse issues, and they were paying him well enough to supply his habit, which he was using quite a bit this should come as no surprise. He was using quite a bit to numb out what was happening there. One of the names that came up, one of the people that he encountered, and I think Rearson might find this interesting, is Roger Stone.
Really?
Yeah. He claimed that he entered into a garage where he found a guy with a quote-unquote Nixon tattoo molesting a kid.
That would be unfortunate, but at this point, I'm prepared to have a lot of people, a lot of celebrities that I idolized in one form or another to be incredibly dirty.
Well, I mean, again, you know me. I don't really have anybody up on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean,
that would be unfortunate.
It would be unfortunate. The only thing is, Roger Stone would be one among many if it was revealed.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't just be him, right? Like, the blame would fall equally with Republicans and Democrats, and probably wouldn't be much of a reveal. Also, and this has been pointed out, and it is true, that according to the stories, that not everybody who went to Epstein Island actually participated in this. Like, remember, they had Disney cruises stopping there, and they had guests there overnight.
Yeah.
So not every person that went to Epstein Island was participating. Just like not everybody who flew on Epstein's Lolita Express was doing it, was going off to his island to have sex. And Epstein loved to be photographed with famous people. There's a photo with him with Trump. There's a photo of him with Bill Gates. There's a photo of him with a lot of people, right? There's also a photo of Ghislaine standing next to Elon Musk. And I have seen multiple people use these photos as some sort of implication that because they were at a party together and they had their photo, because Elon Musk is a relatively recognized face, that this somehow meant that they were tied beyond that. And it's like, no, there's a photo of Trump with Harvey Weinstein. One photo of Trump with Harvey Weinstein. Okay, now Trump and Weinstein had one thing in common. The difference between Trump and Weinstein is that Trump, from what I understand, actually treats his employees with respect. He treats, like if he goes into a coffee shop, he treats the person who runs the coffee shop or the barista that's serving him, he treats that person with respect. Weinstein didn't, right? But we're kind of getting off. Actually, no, we're not really getting off the beaten track here. I mean, same thing with Epstein. Apparently, Epstein was also an individual who generally, like, say, the person who ran the coffee shop across the street from his office, hypothetically speaking, or the person who had the restaurant across the street from his office, right? He apparently treated those people quite well. So that's not really an indication. Apparently, some of the other stuff that's come out about Epstein was generally a pretty decent guy. When it came to certain things. But apparently it was Ghislaine who was the tyrant. But, and I'm not saying that to say that Epstein was a decent guy, because clearly he wasn't. What I'm saying is that even a completely despicable person, you really couldn't tell. And say, for instance, from what I've been able to divulge from listening to a few podcasts about him, if you met him on the street or you met him in a lineup or something like that, and you struck up a conversation with him, you would probably think he was quite an interesting individual, right? You wouldn't have any idea of what he was about unless you were part of his quote-unquote circle. Now, that circle, and of course he was involved in extortion and a few other things, but he was, the list all by itself is a data point, but it does not absolutely conclude that anybody on that list was actually involved in anything other than he or she went to the island. Although, again, right, Epstein is not somebody who I've been following super closely, so this client list might actually be people who were actual clients, as in they were participating in the same debauchery that Epstein was involved in. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Rusin.
There's been, I feel, plenty of time to release this, but within the conspiracy theory realm, it's kind of funny that it's only 170. And if you knock off the 0, you get 17, and to put that against where A equals 1 and Z or Z, whatever, equals 26, 17 is Q. And this is starting to... I'm of the opinion that this has been deliberately withheld, and now that things are starting to really get interesting with the J6 and Colorado. Oh God, if I was thinking about this, I would have put the Colorado thing with Trump right after this topic, but that's fine. The trials that Trump's going through, the election fraud that still is working its way through, especially like in Georgia. honestly, I'm hoping that Trudeau's on that list that gets released. Like, it would be absolutely perfect that we could finally get we can get that much more of a break from that fucking asshole. And hopefully his name is in there. At least on the first, it'll be released sooner, much rather than later. I don't know. I'm hoping. I mean, how long has it been since Hunter Biden's laptop was taken in, and it went to Rudy Giuliani? And again, I still maintain that's what got my Facebook profile banned, or I'd be let back in if I gave them proof of my driver's license. So, feel better?
Yeah.
I heard that. You might want to edit that one out. Anyway,
Oh no, there's a guy on Twitter here. He's defending this individual who consistently and will not stop tweeting about Donald Trump, right? So I put up the Orange Man bad handball thing, and there's this guy, he's like, you do the same thing but called Orange Man a hero. So, and my response is, go on, you stunned fucking retard. Find the massive number of comments you claim to have about Trump on my feed. Oh yeah, they're not there. Unlike him, I actually got over 2016 and 2020, and don't post up constantly about a guy who isn't the president anymore.
Well, it's apparently there's been a change in the U.S. Constitution. Fuck was that? There's been a change in the U.S. Constitution where it went from these United States of America to the United States of America. And technically, that puts it under a different jurisdiction, which it would. Anyway, it's what the fallout is going to be from all of this, I have no idea. And for the people that are on that list, even if you're not doing anything that was sexual, your name's going to get dragged through the mud, and it's not going to be pretty at all. For Ghislaine, well, her father was a Mossad double or triple agent, something like that. Robert Maxwell, I think his name was. He actually ended up owning McGraw-Hill publisher, or having ownership in it. Which, if that's the case, with you can see how this is all going to very quickly spread out with a massive spider web of contacts and associations and whatever else. Anyway, in terms of Ghislaine being the more nasty of the two, I understand that she was Epstein's handler. And again,
she was.
And again, my apologies for having to repeat myself again here, but she's been thrown in jail, and no names of the people that she's been involved with for human trafficking, molestation, whatever else, has not been revealed. So if we were to bring up the name of Ghislaine Maxwell, I could pretty much guarantee you a lot of people, not a lot, but I'm sure well over half the people that you could talk to anywhere on the street would probably not have any clue as to who she is. So she's going to get brought back into the spotlight. And the interesting part will be is we'll see what happens with the mainstream media as to what they're going to finally say about this. Because they were pretty damn fucking quiet they were very quiet about her trial. Not that I watch TV, because I don't. And I think that they brought up Epstein on the news with his alleged suicide. So who knows? Well, I have no idea at this point what to expect. So we'll wait and see. And no doubt that this is probably going to, and that's going to get released in about, oh shit. It's going to be released as early as Monday next week. Well, that'll be interesting. It'd be very interesting. And that's all I got to say on that one. So let's move on.
Yep. Yeah, definitely definitely interesting. I'm gonna be waiting for bated breath. Well, not bated breath. It's gonna be interesting to see what comes of the what comes of that list when it comes out. All right, topic number 3. And this one is, I mean, yeah, good luck, Justin. You're not going to be the prime minister, but you're not going to be the prime minister by the end of by the end of 2025. In fact, you'll be lucky if you don't get booted from office in the next 12 months. But of course, his energy minister, Stefan Guilbeault. Daniel Smith has gone on the record as saying that she simply cannot work with Stefan Guilbeault, which is not that big of a surprise. But Trudeau, in all his fucking wisdom, announced that all cars in Canada are to be electric by 2025. Now, Daniel Smith has been kind of waffling on this one, but I mean, 2035, sorry, 2035. And now, Daniel Smith and Doug Scott Moe have been kind of waffling on this one. I mean, they don't want to start declaring notwithstanding on every single issue. But here's the bottom line, and I know this from having to use electronics in cold weather. They don't. Cold weather drains power out of batteries like you would not believe. Now, even if, for instance, BC, Quebec, Ontario, and like most of the provinces have the electrical capacity, unlike California, to possibly keep these cars running. The only problem is that as it currently stands, if you wanted to drive to, say, and I have done this, drive to Edmonton to, say, Vancouver with an electric vehicle, you would have to stop every 200 to 300 miles, plug your car in, and wait 2 or 3 hours before you could get back into it. So a 16-hour trip probably turned into about a day, maybe a day and a half. Now, with a gasoline-powered vehicle, you maybe have to pull into a gas. I had to pull into a gas station once on my way there, and I had to pull into a gas station once on my way back. That was it. I don't know how they're going to be able to use electric vehicles or even electrical powered equipment in areas where there is no power grid.
Oh, it's simple. It's very simple. We're going to have to bring in gas or diesel power generators, which
is going to burn gas or diesel,
which really defeats the whole fucking purpose, except for the person that's buying the Tesla to go, I'm doing more for the environment. I can't wait till I can have my turn on this part of the rant because I'm gonna fucking destroy these people. Anyway,
so the response that I saw when this came out is like, the response is, it's sort of like, yeah, Justin, Canada will likely be under, actually not likely, will be under new ownership at that point. You won't be able to do jack shit. Now, while I am not fully sold on Pierre Poilievre, and neither is Rierson, I should point out, he does seem to display, and I know this because he has put MGTOW in some of his YouTube posts as a hashtag. He does seem to be aware of some of the other issues going on. He doesn't seem to be aware of what's being discussed on the alt media, which is why he is so hostile to the mainstream media, because he knows that the motherfuckers are lying. The only way you could have all the electric vehicles by 2035 would be to make every city and every major metropolis in Canada a 15-minute city. And that would mean that in a period of about 12 years, he would have to take the majority of the rural population and literally by force them to move into the cities, which won't work very well because he doesn't have the military to do it. And if he tries to screw around, well, I mean, he's already, like, the trucker convoy showed him that. Fuck around and find out. Right? I love how he's been playing victim lately and saying, "Oh, well, the conservatives have interfered with all my plans." And it's sort of like, well, yeah, of course they are. Poilievre knows what you're pulling off. There are nationalist governments rising up in every single Western country. Like, say what you want to about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a nationalist. First. It's not about fighting someone else's wars or anything like that. So I don't know how the hell he's going to even make this work. The car companies have already pretty much told him that he's asking the impossible. The only way he can make everybody to run completely electric is to literally do it by force. And one other little uncomfortable fact that Justin keeps ignoring is the fact that Alberta is currently fucking paying for everything. And if they took everything and made it electrical, Alberta wouldn't have the money to pay for everything. Apparently, they can't think that far ahead. Now, Rearson, take all the time you need, rip Trudeau a new one.
Well, it's not just Trudeau. It's the fucking idiots that think that this is a great idea to buy a Tesla. Those things, while on the surface, are a nice idea. It doesn't work. Teslas are only effective in a city. If you can drive a half hour somewhere and come back, or maybe an hour to work and come back, that's it. That is it. When lithium is exposed to water, let's not forget, I mean, there was that running gag for a while that you couldn't bring a Samsung phone on an airplane because Samsung went through a faulty batch of fucking cell phone batteries. And even water vapor in the air is enough to have lithium, if there's enough of it, combust. I've seen an electric vehicle catch fire and it explodes like what you would expect in a fucking movie. And the fire department cannot douse it with water because it's only going to make it worse. So those things it's a nice idea, but it's impractical. I know that there's work now being made that's striving towards a magnesium battery, which apparently, in theory, will have twice the charge. The problem has been the cathode, and that it oxidizes. There's a layer of stuff that accumulates on the cathode, not the anode, but the cathode. So they've been able to get around that to some degree. I haven't looked into this matter in about 2 years. So I've got a feeling they're probably pretty close. I'll give it about another 3 or 4 years, and they should start to have something available for a magnesium battery. But lithium, fuck. I don't know how environmentally friendly lithium is, when it's buried, but refined lithium is not very environmental. It's as bad as sodium is. Can we go and talk about the slave labor, the child labor that's being used for mining cobalt, like in Africa, shall we? No, you don't want to think about that. Not you, Naroki, but the average Tesla consumer. And it's what, like 40, 50, maybe $60,000 to replace a battery in a Tesla? That's worth more or less more than that's about worth what the cars are worth, at least on the low end. I mean, until you've got a Tesla lot where you can come in and in an hour they can swap out the battery for another one and they'll take what you've got, charge it up and whatever else. Would that work? Nah, maybe. Probably not, but maybe. I mean, when I went to Surrey a year and a half ago, in Golden, BC, there was a large parking lot. I believe it was the Petro-Canada. I can't remember exactly what. But that was on the way. It was on the side of the highway going east. So basically to Calgary, Lake Louise, Banff, whatever. And there were 4 charging stations, and I remember seeing about 10 Teslas, or was it 2 charging stations? Anyway, the longest lineup of cars that were waiting was about 4 cars, and it takes about an hour to put it on a quick charge. The problem with these charging stations is that our electrical grid is already pretty much at maximum. Like, you cannot have too many people having their own little wind turbine to put electricity back into the grid, because that puts more stress on it, which sounds strange, but apparently that's how the system is set up. And it's it's not feasible. It is just not viable. Like 2050, maybe. 2070 would probably be a more realistic goal, because the energy, like I said, the electrical grid, the energy grid, it has to be upgraded, and that's not something that you can do overnight. Now, I know in Alberta that the power lines that we have, they use aluminum versus copper. Copper is much more efficient. It's the second or third most efficient metal for electrical conductivity. Silver, I believe it's silver, then gold. I feel platinum's in there somewhere as well too, but anyway, whatever. But the problem with copper is that it's pretty fucking heavy. Aluminum is the lightest hard metal that we can use now, because aluminum has a higher resistance to it. They have to have thicker wires, but the wires are still lighter than it would be with the equivalent of copper. And copper's not cheap right now either. Like, it's typically a byproduct of the smelting process, like silver is. So what they want to do, what Trudeau has been told by his overlords is you need to implement this. Because let's face it, the man's an idiot. I mean, he really is. No, sorry, he makes idiots look smart. Like, he's there, and all he is to still the unwashed female masses and perhaps the gay men as well, is that he's a pretty face. That's it. Like, he has nothing else going for him. Nothing. But this is not going to fly. And for the record again, folks, Danielle Smith and Scott Moe are the premiers, or shall we say the governors, of Alberta and Saskatchewan, respectively. Would I be surprised that the provinces are going to start telling Ottawa, yeah, you can go ahead, but we're not doing it here because of our reasons? And I think it's going to start to come down to it, is that I think that the notwithstanding clause is probably just going to turn into a running joke. And it will come down to it being economic. I mean, we're probably going to need about 3 to 4 times the power output of what our current electronic grid system is, and nobody wants to build. It's going to be a case of NIMBY, not in my backyard. Yeah, sure, we need an electrical. Yeah, we need new power. We need more power, or more electricity, or whatever. But someone else has to take it. I don't want it here, and that's going to be a big fucking problem. So it's not going to work. And regardless of how the turd is going to try to spin this one, it's not going to go. And I don't see it being an election issue. I don't even see it being a sleeper issue because it's too far away. And considering that how much nobody likes Trudeau at this point, yeah, he can put all this stuff on the table as much as he wants. All it's going to take is for the Conservatives to get a majority government, and I guarantee you, two things that they're going to scrap, two things they would kill off right away is going to be the carbon tax, and then that proposal or that mandate. And the mandate is only, apparently in legalese, mandate is a request. That's it. So if something's mandatory, they're asking you to do it. This is what we want. So that isn't going to last very long anyway. And then any oil and gas development will pretty much get greenlit and be pushed through as fast as possible. But that's what I see happening here. So could this be another faggot on the fire, being a log, not a raging homosexual, but to quote Tolkien? Will this be another lump? Will this be another shovel of coal put into the? Oh wow! Will this be another shovel full of coal that's going into the boiler on the Titanic that's being piloted by Trudeau and the Liberals? Yeah, I mean it's full steam ahead. We're going for the. We're swinging for the gates, boys. So, yeah, I'm not worried. I'm really honestly not worried about this, and I don't see it being something that'll push separation that much further. So, to me, this is a nothing burger. It's interesting, but it's a nothing burger. I'm gonna look at it this way. So,
would you like fries with that nothing burger?
No, but I could saute up tomatoes to go along with it. Actually, got plenty of onions. Anyway, yeah, I'm not worried about this one. I really am not, my friend. So, I got nothing. Just like Trudeau in his head, he's got nothing. And on that note, I'm done.
Well, to be fair, yeah, it's not gonna work. Trudeau's not going to get reelected at this current point. I mean, the Liberals will be lucky to get a third of this. Like, they would be lucky. No, I mean, let me just hold on a second. Let me just take a look at 338 Canada at this point. Just type it up here for a second.
The Liberals would be lucky to be official opposition.
No, I think they would still be the official opposition, but
yeah, but the margin of error, the plus and minus on both sides, for Liberals and NDP, there's enough overlap that it could go for the man that's wanted in India, the rest on site.
Okay, well, I'm at 338 Canada. Let's take a look here. Oh yeah. The Liberals would the Conservatives at this point in time, based upon current projections, would win 191 seats. And here's the thing: the PPC, because of how badly Trudeau's been acting,
Max might actually get
the PPC. Everyone's gonna go for the Conservatives because they don't want to take a chance on splitting. Most people are not going to take a chance on splitting the vote. I mean, I myself am actually, and this would be this would be literally be a first for me. I am literally considering voting actual conservative for the first time ever. Like I voted PP, like I voted PPC the last two elections.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, no, the Liberals could get down to as little as 157. Could win just as few as 157 seats, way down from where they were. The Conservatives are so far ahead right now that they're actually into almost guaranteed majority territory, no matter which way it goes.
Mhm.
But yeah, so long, Trudeau. I'm not gonna miss you. And yeah, like your attempt to try to turn us into California North isn't working because again, the glow of California is working itself out of everyone's system to boot. And that's all I've got to say on this topic myself. I'm going to love that comment, and then we're going to get on with the next topic. Oh, this one is interesting.
Mhm.
Trump removed
Oh, yes.
ballot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know that much about this particular topic. Oh, I mean, I may have to jump in after you jump in. What I do know is that this has not happened since the 1860 election, which is the one, by the way, that happened just before the Civil War, where Lincoln was not on a lot of the ballots in the votes in the South. He still won anyway. Now, what I do know about it is the fact that, it was done by the Supreme Court. And I do know that it was, I don't know whether it was in,
We're talking 1860 or?
recently. It happened this week.
Yeah, in Colorado. It was
in
the Colorado
Colorado.
Supreme Court.
Yeah. I'm not even sure why it was disqualified. I'm just going to take a look here. Again, right, I've been working so much I haven't had a chance, which is good because I need to be working.
Yeah.
Okay, a slim majority. This is from Reuters, by the way, December 20th. Trump was disqualified from Colorado's presidential primary ballot by state's Supreme Court on Tuesday. An extraordinary ruling that could be struck down ahead of the November 2024 U.S. election. It will. Here's a look at the decision and what it means to the former U.S. president and frontrunner in the 2024 Republican nomination. Well, here, first of all, Colorado is a blue state, so it really doesn't matter. But again, a slim majority of the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump was disqualified from appearing on the state ballot under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which bars anyone engaged in insurrection or rebellion from holding federal office. The problem is that he has to actually be convicted of that. He never got convicted of that. The lower court previously ruled that Trump's actions on January 16, 2021, during a violent attack, which was not a violent attack, because we actually did an episode with Henrik on this, by a supporter to an insurrection, but stopped short of disqualifying him, saying Section 3 does not apply to presidents. The Colorado Supreme Court paused its own ruling pending review by the U.S. Supreme Court, which Trump said he will immediately seek. I can already tell you which way the U.S. Supreme Court is going to go on this. The case involves most unprecedentedly, again, right? This is just more J6 crap. And again, Trump did not engage in a insurrection against the U.S. government, right? And even if, well, I mean, there's no if, like, he didn't do it, period. He's not been convicted. And it's like, you can say that he did it till your jaw drops off your face, right? He hasn't been convicted, and because he hasn't been convicted, he can't, like, this ruling doesn't have any merit. Period. End of story. So, so this ruling is not gonna change anything. It's not going to do any. It's not gonna do anything. It's just basically, this is just more political grandstanding on behalf of somebody in the Democrat Party in Colorado who wants to look good. And it's probably, and I'm going to have to assume that Trump wins in 2024, is going to seriously regret having done it, right? Because again, what's the blowback from this is that, much like everything else that's happened when it comes to Trump, is that his popularity only went up. In particular, his popularity went up in swing states. Wah, wah, wah. So, I mean, it's another form of insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, I mean, shocker at this point that this is happening in Colorado. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Colorado is more of a purple state. Excuse me. But yeah, no, exactly what you were saying here is that you can be disqualified for insurrection, but nothing's been proven yet. So Colorado Supreme Court has blown their load. Blew their load of some. The judges that voted on this one to do this, they blew their load in each other's ass. Just like someone that apparently got plowed in the Democrat senator's office. Fuck. This isn't going to hold up. Like, this is going to get sent over to the Supreme Court.
It is getting sent over to the Supreme Court.
It's going to go to the Supreme Court because this is something that affects the integrity of the election. And I think was it Dave Rubin? I think it was Dave Rubin had said this. I mean, if they're going to do this now on trumped up charges on Trump at this point because nothing's been proven, where does it stop? Imagine Trudeau to be pulling this kind of crap with Elections Canada on Poilievre because Poilievre's going to smoke his ass. Like, that's where this ultimately could go if you leave it to an extreme. And I know that there would be enough people that would be, especially with my previous Facebook account, that would be like, oh yeah, no, that's great, that's going to get rid of Trump. Okay, but what happens if this were to apply to you and you haven't done anything wrong? And is it okay that the Democrats do this to Republicans or liberals do this to conservatives? But what if this was to be flipped on you? You're not going to like it. So, and I'm not saying that as someone who's more conservative in his leanings than he has been before. But if one side can do it and it turns the country into a kangaroo court and a banana republic. I mean, this is the shit that we were told about that was going on in Mother Russia or the Soviet Union, or that would have been done with the Islamic government in Iran, for example, being as totalitarian as it was, or heaven forbid, Saddam Hussein, but Lord knows how real any of those stories are at this point. So it's, and I mean, this is really, in essence, no different than when Trudeau froze the bank accounts of people that gave to the trucker convoy. It's not quite the same, but it's the same. It's not executive overreach, it's the judicial overreach. to interfere in an election, and it's not their job. It's their job to be dealing with any allegations of wrongdoing or corruption or whatever. That's what they're supposed to be dealing with. It's not. If this was to go through unchallenged, then it turns the whole, quote, democratic process of America, which is not the case because they're a republic. But it throws the whole process out the window. And it makes a complete mockery of what the vaulted institution is supposed to be. And I know in Canada, at least for now, overtly, judges are not permitted to vote. Like, they are supposed to be politically neutral. Now, what's owed in terms of favors or strings that were pulled, that's another matter. But officially, judges are not supposed to have any political affiliation north of the 49th parallel. So, that being said, for me, it really kind of comes down to it being a case of whatever. I'll give this ruling 5 months at the most before it's going to be struck down. At the very most. So this is not something I'm losing sleep over. Not that I'm losing much sleep over anything, but this is not one of those things I'm frothing at the mouth over. To me, this is a case of 1, whatever, 2, good luck with that, and 3, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So that's going to get slapped pretty hard in their face. So we'll see. We'll see. And let's move on.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Yeah, it's not going to survive a legal challenge. Period. End of story, folks. And with that, let's move on to the next topic. Oh, this one is real. This one's also another really interesting one. It's apparently not too far away from where you're currently living, but I'm not surprised that it actually happened here. The University of Washington gave an athletic scholarship, a women's athletic scholarship,
No.
to a man in the school. This after
it's good
the
thing I'm not
proponents
drinking
of
oh boy.
this after the proponents of the people allowing transgenders to compete in women's sports, saying that they weren't taking away athletic opportunities from women. Well, guess what? They did. And it's probably not the only place that was happening. Now, how Riley Gaines found out about it, she's not talking, but apparently they put enough, and again, right, this flew in the face of the woke crowd saying, oh, they're not taking away athletic opportunities from women. Well, I don't think you can get much more than taking away athletic opportunities away from women than giving a scholarship that was meant for a woman to a biological male. Though I don't think it can happen. Anyway, Riley Gaines got somebody sent it to Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines kicked and screamed up a fuss, and Washington University backed down and took away the scholarship. Good on Riley Gaines. Now, let's just keep in mind here that Riley Gaines has basically been a one-woman show. And while I wish her the best of luck, I'm going to have to take a manosphere point of view on Riley Gaines. And the first thing I'm going to ask Riley Gaines if I ever get into her is, yeah, hey, where were you when the Gillette commercial came out? And her excuse was, well, I didn't think about it. Well, yeah, well, like,
Most modern women don't think, but that's another story.
she probably didn't even consider it, or as she did, she probably laughed and thought it was kind of silly that men reacted that way. And it's like, yeah, you see, that's the problem. And that's the reason why I cannot, in good conscience, support you in any way other than giving you encouraging words. Because, you haven't been returning the favor to the men. And I don't want to turn this into a manosphere issue because, this is literally a case of biological men taking opportunities and removing them from women. This is supposed to be a feminist issue, but the National Organization of Women and most prominent feminist organizations and women in the world, and particularly in the West, have stayed incredibly silent about this, although this is a clear-cut case of men taking away opportunities from women. That's what this is. And me being in the manosphere or not being in the manosphere is irrelevant. That is exactly what is happening here. And because that is exactly what happened here, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm not going to support Riley Gaines. I'm not going to send her any money. But if I see a university, and this is probably what happened, is probably somebody at the University of Washington sent Riley Gaines a letter or sent her an email or got a hold of her and said, well, this is what's happening at the University of Washington. And the University of Washington got caught with his pants down. And now, you got to kind of wonder what was going on at the University of Washington. Like, did they really think that they were going to be somebody inside the athletic department at the University of Washington decided that this was a good idea? Somebody at the University of Washington decided that a man needed a women's scholarship more than a woman did. Now, keep in mind, athletics, and again, right, I'm going to start sounding like I'm a feminist here, but athletics don't pay nearly as well for women as they do for men. That is just a fact. It's also the fact that nobody watches the sport, most women's sports, except maybe for figure skating. And, the sports and women's sports is just not as interesting. Those are just facts.
Oh, come on. You can't tell me some guy's not trying to pull one out, rub one out when you get the women's tennis or golf happening. I'm sure there's even
tennis, the men
don't last. The matches in tennis don't last that long.
No, but even in tennis, like the male competitive, like the male, like say at Wimbledon, like the tennis matches between the men, the high caliber men, attract more fans than the female ones do. Okay, yeah, a lot of the female tennis players are by and large better looking than any of the male tennis players, and any person who's a heterosexual male will absolutely agree with me on that.
Oh, and I will. I definitely will.
That's not the point. The point of the matter is that even at her peak, Martina Navratilova freely admits that, she could not... she could kind of keep up with males from about, say, 16th to 40th seed. Like, she could keep up with their speed, but she could not really compete. Like, with, say, the top 15, 20 males on the planet, like, she just couldn't compete with them. The speed was just too much. The power was just too much. She just could not play against them. Martina Navratilova was absolutely dominant on the female side. And, again, though. Somebody at the and again, I'm not surprised that it happened at a blue university at a blue state. Washington University has had its moments. I remember a specific event when Milo Yiannopoulos went over to speak, and Antifa came over and tried to disrupt the event. Right? Didn't go very well for them because the Proud Boys were there. This is like mid 2010s that this happened, and the Proud Boys were there waiting for them. And by the way, this early version of Antifa, their tactic was to have these tiny mute little women come in and try to get these guys to react to them somehow, and then they would jump on them. Basically, they would use white knighting as an excuse. And of course, Proud Boys got smart to that, and these guys got their asses kicked for trying it. And of course, these I remember this one girl at the Berkeley event, trying to remember what exactly happened to her, but she got her ass handed to her physically. But on her Twitter, she was talking tough and saying, I can't wait to take Nazi skulls and that sort of thing. And then when that actual event happened, this is the one that Lawrence Southern was attending, back when Lawrence Southern actually had legitimacy in the manosphere. They got their asses kicked, and they got their asses kicked because they're a bunch of weak, soft soy boys who were using small, defenseless women as shields. And this one thought that she was going to somehow be able to fight against a guy 8 inches bigger than her. The ironic part is that after her identity got revealed, it turns out that she had in early versions of OnlyFans. So Washington's had its issues. The bottom line is that this is probably not the only university that this is happening to, and this is going to be an issue that the next president, be it Trump, it's more than likely going to be Trump, but whoever it is going to have to deal with this. And I don't think, given how Biden's acting, I think Biden would make the incorrect decision, but who knows? And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Not really worried about this because Trump's already been on record at his rallies that he's simply put, he's back in. He's going to be yanking any and all funding for CRT. And if he's going to be doing for that to CRT, and they're going to be pulling this kind of crap, it's not going to last. Like, those universities are not going to last. Colleges, whatever. When I was in Seattle and we were coming back, I was with Marty. I can't remember where we were driving, but we got behind someone who had a bumper sticker of Biden, Biden Harris, and we both laughed. Like, buddy, you're the reason why that there's problems in the world. Not to say that that's exclusive, but it was one of those. Yep, someone failed their mental illness check. So it's all I'm going to say right now is that I'm not there yet. I mean, I still have to get there for an in-person interview, and that's going to be later this week, and letting the spouse know at the kind of last minute. But that's something we'll talk about afterwards or another day, because we don't want to take any more of our time than we have to here. Just out of curiosity, on the feminist side, they're not really saying anything about this, are they? Because, their argument is that, well, anything a guy can do, we can do just as well. So has there been any feedback? Has there been any criticism from the feminists about this? Or
The
have they
only
been?
thing they've been astoundingly silent.
Shocker.
Megan Rapinoe,
Yeah.
though, has come out totally in favor of it, except of course that Megan Rapinoe is now too old to play, so it doesn't affect her.
God. The only
Shocking, huh?
The only thing Rapinoe and you and I have in common with her, we both like women. That's it. The woman's head is not screwed on straight to start with. I mean, for those of you that are not familiar with this, you might want to look up women's sports and Bill Burr's feeling about it, because it's fucking spot on. Oh my God. The University of Washington being in Seattle doesn't surprise me that they would do stupid shit like this. If you get far enough out of Seattle, I'm pretty sure you're going to find a lot of people that would look at this, if they're not aware of it already, and would shake their heads and kind of go, well, that's Seattle for you. Because I've got a feeling that that's what the mentality overall is. I mean, let's not forget that. I mean, there's a growing movement of counties within Washington State and Oregon, and I think going even so far south to include some counties in the eastern part of California, or the growing region, shall we say, and they would like to all become part of Greater Idaho. Where is that in terms of it being, where's that going? Don't know yet. Will it happen? Well, I mean, if Alberta breaks away from Canada, and Saskatchewan goes along with it, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a catalyst for that movement to be spurred south at the border. Color me surprised. Color me shocked. No, not really, because it's the universities and colleges, it's post-secondary education that really drives home the prevailing attitude of the wokesters, and that's where, generally speaking, it's coming from. I mean, what was it? Who said this? I think it was Lenin that said it. Give me your kids for 5 years, and in a generation they'll be under my control. It was something to that effect. And until universities get not necessarily purged of the wokesters, but until there's accountability and, shall we say, you have political representation in university and post-secondary education in the States, especially, where it's going to be, shall we say, equal parts conservative and liberal, or Republicans and Democrats, to provide a sense of balance. Until that happens, shit's just going to continue to go downhill. So while I'm hopeful, and I really am, I'm not surprised by this. But for now, honestly, again, I'm really not that worried. The more examples like this come out into the open and people become aware of it, this is a good thing, because this should start to wake people up to the insanity of this alphabet soup sexual umbrella, for lack of a better way to say it. I don't know what else to say to this one. But again, I'm hoping that the biological male that got this award, I'm hoping he's not able to procreate anymore. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Fuck. So unmute yourself, my friend, and let's move on.
I've been unmuted the whole time.
Okay. Yep. Ready when you are.
Okay, this next one.
We've just
is
received
really
another
interesting.
internal document from within IBM's subsidiary Red Hat from another brave whistleblower inside the company. You're not going to believe this. We've been reporting all week on IBM and Red Hat's discriminatory hiring practices, and it just keeps getting worse. Apparently, back in 2020, Red Hat had an allyship program within the company asking employees to follow certain commandments. So they've turned this DEI thing into some type of religion. Now, I'm going to read from this slide here. This is given to us by an insider inside IBM. Quote, "Your allyship commitment accepts these fundamental truths." The document reads, listing 10 commandments employees must adhere to. If they don't follow the commandments, we have to take former CEO Paul Cormier, who's currently the chairman, at his word. Those employees will no longer be working at Red Hat.
I could name multiple leaders over the last year plus that were held accountable to the point that they're no longer here at Red Hat because they weren't willing to live up to the standards that we set in this space.
Here's an example of some of the commandments. Never question the reality of our black friends and colleagues. And your allyship understands only white people are racist, knows the black community owes us nothing in this work, is never rooted in white saviorism, and does not seek recognition or praise for a job well done. One of the biggest complaints about DEI is that it borders on a new religion. Now, it's hard to deny there's an underlying religious aspect of DEI when it's literally called the 10 Commandments. This story has hit an unprecedented nerve inside of corporate America, with hundreds, perhaps even thousands of DMs to OMG from within companies all over the place saying they've experienced crazy stuff like this. We'll stay on top of it. It's of course a full-time job merely responding to all the messages that we receive, but the ones with documents and video take high priority. And as always, we'll protect our sources. If you're on the inside, it's tips.o'keefemediagroup.com, or communicate with us on Signal at this number. Stay tuned.
Again, OMG, O'Keefe Media Group, formerly Project Veritas, got a hold of a series of 10 commandments, and it's basically diversity, equity, inclusion. They're basically all race, but some of them were really interesting. Like, blacks cannot be racist. All whites must acknowledge their role in colonization, even if they weren't, or whatever. And it's like the way they were discussing, and the way they were discussing it is that what they were probably attempting to do at Red Hat was they were attempting to sneak these protocols into their software, to try to make these 10 commandments basically part of the Microsoft language. Now, they got caught.
Sorry, you mean IBM?
IBM, yeah.
Okay.
They got caught doing it. Much like a lot of other companies, and keep in mind, Project Veritas went down. We are covering that on when we do 48. They went down in under a year, and it's like, yeah. So once again, O'Keefe Media Group uncovers something again, and it's sort of like, and this almost. I would put this in the same category as transgenders attempting to sneak gay sex into the curriculum of, say, grade 1 or grade 2 students in an elementary school.
Yeah.
They were attempting to put this code in via DEI to make this so that finding out, and by the way, there are a lot of bigoted black people out there.
I know.
But I mean, they were attempting, for all intents and purposes, they were attempting to try to make this code the law of the land. So if you this is almost like, again, another thing you can compare this to is word speak. right? Like you could type in black people are racist and not get any hits with this because this would be encoded right into the hardware of any computer system that used their software. So this was, and it was probably set up by BlackRock or whoever owns Red Hat to make it look this way, right? This is, and again, right, like you're encountering this more and more and more frequently. Like, I mean, like for instance, right, one of the no, well, I got the one with Trudeau's idiocy, Donald Trump's and rest. There was one here. I have 25 companies in the corporations get woke, go broke section when we get around to doing 48, which we'll talk about offline. That's a lot of companies that went broke because they went woke. And they know this. They need to look no farther than the movie returns that have occurred this year to understand that get woke, go broke does not work. But what do? They try to sneak it past everybody anyway. Now, you know, I have said this, for instance, about the hockey tape situation, right? Because there's a couple guys in the hockey field who are like going, well, what is the big goddamn deal? It's just tape. And you want to know what? That guy is actually, those people are right. It is just tape, but it's not just tape. Why is it not just tape? Because these individuals have been told time and again to stop shoving their lifestyle down everybody's throats. They have been told succinctly to leave the kids alone. And what do? They try to sneak it past the parents. They try to make it so they try to get them to look somewhere else while they try to roll this thing through the back door. And what IBM and Red Hat were attempting to do here was change the code on computers to push a woke agenda. And it almost succeeded. The only reason it didn't succeed is because some people inside IBM and Red Hat grew a conscience and decided to go to Project Veritas. And Project Veritas did what it usually, well, not Veritas, OMG, sorry. OMG did its usual thorough job and exposed them. So if they are so arrogant or so high off the smell of their own farts that they would try to do something like this, they're going to absolutely get destroyed. But you know what? This is part of the problem, is that the fact that they keep trying to sneak this stuff past people, even when they are succinctly told that they need to stop doing it. Now, if this happens often enough, people start to get angry, which is why when we get to 349 and I start making predictions about what's going on next year, I'm going to go out on the record and I'm going to say that Pride Month in June of next year, you're going to see a lot of violence. But you know what? I've talked myself out here. I'm going to let Rearson have a go at it. So knock yourself out.
Scary part with Red Hat, well, with Linux, is that most of the transactions that are done is on a Linux server. Now, I don't know specifically what Red Hat has or what they do or what presence they have in terms of Linux on the internet. Because, I mean, IBM, in my honest opinion, faded out of relevance when they sold off their computer operations to China through, which is now Lenovo. Now, I don't use a Lenovo computer. I don't knowingly have any parts from companies that I am not aware of that are headquartered in China, but the manufacturing, for the most part, is in China, so no doubt everything that we have is all being monitored by those fuckers as well. So, that being said, I would love to know, as I said, honestly, what Red Hat's fingerprint is and what IBM does that's not software related. And even with software, what exactly do they have? I guess that my eye, excuse me, and attention is more focused on Google and then Apple and then Microsoft. I can say honestly, I do not ever foresee myself using Red Hat as it is as an operating system. And the time I keep reminding myself that I need to install Linux Mint, and that's the one that's most. Mint is based off of Debian. No, how the fuck does it go? Linux Mint is based off of Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is a sub of Debian. And by and large, Debian is the most popular overall version of Linux, I believe. And then to migrate from Windows, people find it best to go to Linux Mint. Anyway. But if they're going to be incorporating as much as possible for the alphabet community, good Lord. Like, this one's almost easier for IBM to get away with this than really anything else that I can think of OMG or Project Veritas having gone after. And honestly, my friend, if you didn't bring this up, I wouldn't have known about this. O'Keefe has fallen off of my radar because I've got other things on the go. And again, the genuine desire and the way things are going, it's going to happen for me to begin the eventual immigration process. But anyway, in terms of what the implication would be, I honestly don't know where that would go. I mean, Kelso might be one of the better people to have this kind of a conversation with, because I think that he's, and possibly even, Derry mentioned his name, Nihilist, because Nihilist was a big Linux, what the hell was it called? FFOS or something like that, I can't remember. Yeah, I really don't have much that I can say on this one. Oh, actually, maybe V would even could have a better idea about the impact of what Red Hat would be on the internet, and likely on the business side of things as well. So, yeah, I don't have much more to say on this, so let's move on.
Okay, let's, all right, and the last one, and this one, oh my God.
Which one is it again?
The Democrat making a adult video on the Senate floor.
Assgate.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, there was that one person who decided to go topless at a White House event. Transgender. That person decided to go topless. That one. That person got immediately removed, and then the press tried everything in their power to defend the person who took the photo and the person who actually did what. And I'm like looking at this and I'm like going, you just don't do that at the White House. Like, you don't do that at the White House, period. So what ended up happening is that this particular person who worked for a senator decided that him and his boyfriend were going to go out on the Senate floor when the Senate wasn't busy one night, and they decided to have gay sex in the stall where his boss was working. People found out about it, and the guy got promptly fired. Now, here's the part that just blows my mind. And again, is my mind actually blown? Not, yes, but not in a way that is sort of just absolutely shocked that this stuff doesn't happen, because I know stuff like this happens. And they say if it gets to the point where I read about stuff like this and I am not aghast at it, or just because then it's time for me to move on to do something else. That's literally what it's time for me to do. This guy was having gay sex and filming it in the Senate hall. And people in the press literally had the nerve to call it an act of love. Now, I got to point out something here. I am not anti-porn not really in any form or fashion, right? Especially the regular mainstream style stuff of porn, right? A lot of guys in the manosphere have an issue with it. I don't. The issue is that and yes, there have been serious depravities that have occurred in the Senate building in the past and in the future, right? Sexual assaults, that type of thing. There's been other stuff that happened there. Those people weren't stupid enough to film it and put it out online for everyone to see. Yeah, I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Or, and this is something else that people are starting to say, enjoy the decline, right? I mean, yeah, just like you don't have a woman take her top off and shoot topless at a White House event, you don't have gay sex in the Senate hall and put it out on fucking internet for everyone to see, and then literally play victim and call it an act of love when you get your ass fired, which, by the way, you absolutely deserve to have happen to you for doing something like this.
I hope a lot of lube was involved, just saying, to take the edge off of any burning.
I mean, again, I'm not gay or anything like that. I don't watch gay porn, but it's if I were to have a girlfriend and I took her to DC and had a chance to sit in the Senate hall when it was empty, I would not be so full of myself as to have my girlfriend give me a sloppy B in the Senate hall and fucking film it. you know, and I saw a cartoon, and I probably should have saved it because now I'm going to have to go find it. The, like the absolute, just like gall to say that this was just an act of love when it was clearly an act of depravity. And, this goes back to that woman that had that photo and the way they were defending this woman too. It's like, no, 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 no. Like, just because it's Biden, it's because Biden's a creep and a pedophile, and that he approves of this, and he has a transgender with his finger on the nuclear trigger whilst simultaneously stealing luggage. And he has another person who's an undersecretary at the Navy who is, for whatever reason, responsible for medical transitioning in the armed forces. That does not make having gay sex or any other kind of sex, for that matter, in the fucking Senate building. Okay? Like, it is not an acceptable action to take. I am not a fucking homophobe for saying that. Okay? If you want to call me a homophobe for saying that, my next response is, you are a fucking idiot who obviously has absolutely no idea what the fucking concept of discretion is. And even if you didn't exercise discretion, for fuck's sakes, man, we're talking about the fucking U.S. Senate building. For those of you who get it, no explanation is possible. For those of you who don't get why this is wrong, no explanation is possible. No, for the first piece for the crowd, I guess there's no explanation necessary. For the ones that don't get it, I don't think it's possible to explain to you. Why is it impossible to explain to you? Because you're a bunch of fucking idiots, perverts, and sexual degenerates. And you need to get the fuck over yourself. This was not an act of love. This was a sex crime and should be treated as such. The fact that there were no minors involved is beside the point. You do not have a fucking sex video in the U.S. Senate, period. End of story. And yes, I probably do sound like one of those curmudgeony old men. But you know what? If you think I'm being one of those curmudgeony old men, go on, champ. If you want to, you can contact me and you can try and fucking sell it to me. Try to convince me that this was a decent action to take. If you have an issue with how I'm saying this. And no, calling out idiocy like this does not equate to me being triggered. Okay? These two individuals chose to do something asinine and fucking stupid of their own free will, and there's this thing called action equals consequence. Now, if you're too fucking stupid to put two and two together on that, then personally, I don't want you in charge of anything, nor do I want you in my space. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rearson, who probably has his own literal asshole to carve on this one. So, Rearson, take it away.
Well, I assure you, I have no driving desire to have my prostate checked by the only way that a man can really check another man's prostate. Oh my God. There was a guy that I worked with years ago when I first moved to Calgary. And he was very contradictory. He wanted everything for free, but he deserved to get paid really, really, really well. We had a disagreement on raising minimum wage, and I just see it as just nothing but a vicious cycle where the cost of living will always be out of reach for the people that are that are coming in at minimum wage. But he had a huge hate on and hard on hate for Republicans, and I guess no doubt would also be for conservatives. But I consider him to be kind of a chaotic neutral spirit, and I know you'll get the reference. Rules only apply to him when it's to his benefit, I guess is about the best way to say it. Anyway. This is about the time, so this would have been 2003 to 2004, somewhere around there. And I think that this was when they were starting to have some problems with the Republicans being caught, senators or congressmen, basically being caught either being engaged in acts of homosexuality or would have been with young enough males. And I remember my coworker was happy as a pig in shit that this was happening to them. And I didn't disagree with him at the time. Now, I would love to pick his brain to find out what he thinks about this guy who's working for a Democrat senator, and he'll probably rationalize it just like, well, it's perfectly fine to consenting adults. And it's like, okay, and how would you feel if this was Republican aide or staff that got caught doing this? So I don't care what you do. I don't care, as long as you can do whatever you want for your sexual needs, as long as with consenting adults. Again, that's the easiest way that I can say that. No kids, no animals, no one against their will. I don't care. I really don't care. If you have to, I was going to say, if you have to put a gerbil up your ass, well, I suppose as long as the gerbil doesn't die because you farted it and damn near killed it. I really don't care. I do not give a shit. I remember still working at the Radisson in Canmore, and there was a mayor with her husband, and they had she has a ceremonial, it's not a necklace, it's more than a necklace, but something that you wear on the shoulders like a necklace. And she just wore that in her office and nothing else. To look back at it now, I think she was in her mid-40s or so, maybe mid to late 40s at best. So she would look good from afar, but she would look far from good. And I felt that was a disrespect of her position as a regional leader. And it's really no different with what they did here. Now, again, I don't care what they do. I don't care what turns them on. Again, as long as it's with consenting adults, that's it. But no, if you're going to do that, go get your ass ripped open. Get your prostate massaged as only a man can do. And you do that in the senator's office when no one's around. I don't care. Doesn't bother me, but not in the public chambers, shall we say, of the legislative branch. Not that it already not that senators and congressmen are already not badly enough viewed to, shall we say, cheapen the position, but let's not cheapen the position any more than we don't have to. Was it a moment of indiscretion? Sure, we could go with that, I guess. But at the end of the day, obviously, well, I don't know. I mean, could this be a case of thinking with the little head and having the need for the prostate to be massaged? Maybe. Is this an opportunity for attention on social media? It could be. I don't know. I don't know what floats this guy's boat. I don't know what kickstarts this Harley, although we know what does kickstart his Harley, which is getting the fudge packed in the Senate in his employer's chair in the big office, shall we say? Oh fuck, whatever. I don't know. To me, this is just it's kind of cute. It's kind of fun, but it really is a nothing. This is another nothing burger, in my honest opinion. I don't. Am I going to look fondly back in a week and intentionally bring this subject up? No, not unless there's something that somehow is related in my mind and I can make it work in my favor, shall we say. I don't see myself. I'll remember something like this later on when this happens again on either side of the political aisle. But I'm not going to lose sleep over this. I'm not getting upset over it. I mean, I'm kind of at the point of it being like, oh, I'm actually kind of bored and tired of this shit. So, yeah, this is funny. This really is entertaining, but there's really nothing, in my viewpoint, all that big about this story. And in fact, it's actually quite boring. So that's all I have to say on this one, my friend. Take that however you will.
Yeah, well, again, right. What can I possibly say about this? Enjoy the decline.
Yeah.
So this concludes this particular show. I'd like to keep going, but I want to get some sleep tonight. The headache is gone, by the way.
Good.
We will be doing. We will talk about this offline, but that is it for this particular show tonight. Yeah, hopefully I'll be in better shape. We will be doing the year in review at some point this week. I want to wish everybody a happy and joyful Christmas. And here's to a rather, well, actually, I'm not going to say here's to other interesting 2024, because we likely have as many as 2 more videos coming up between now and the end of the year. But that is it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for listening.